today we did some escapes and regards. So we started with turtle escapes, so escape from the hindquarters, the middle, and the front headlock. So front headlock, you're going away from the chin strap. The middle, you want to leave your knee on the ground, but raise your foot, and then your foot kind of wraps around the hip, and use that as a frame to regard. Bridget said that that you want to, when your opponent's pushing into you, you use it as a frame, basically. So, and you want to make sure that's on the hip, because if it's just on this, if it's on the thigh, upper part of the thigh, it'll just slide into the hip. So you're giving your opponent 6 inches of movement toward you at that point. Also, that was the other thing. When you're in turtle, you need to keep your base wider, because otherwise it's very easy to push you or pull you, push you down or pull you down. The problem I have with that, I feel like then there's more of a gap between your shoulder, elbows, and knees if you base out more. So for turtle, I feel like there's a lot of subtleties that sort of, in my mind, contradict each other right now. So I'm not exactly, you want to base out, but then you want to keep your elbows in. And maybe, that might be because my hip flexibility is harder for me to do that at the same time. So I don't know. But right now I feel like if I focus on one thing, then something else opens up. And then also, you don't want to huddle in turtle. You want to retreat the turtle and then immediately get out of it. So if I feel if I need to do that, then I have to have a more active sort of posture, and then that really opens up my elbow knee gap, and then they just grab an underhook and then go to back. So and then when they're on your hindquarters, you do the Granby. That also I have problems with. So I think someone said that will work as long as there's no hooks. But all they have to do is step between your legs, and then it kind of prevents you from doing it. But then if they step between your legs, there is something else you can do. I remember something, I think Bridget said that, but I don't know what it is. So, alright, so that was the turtle. Side control was the basic elbow escape, or elbow hip escape. One detail on that is when you're bringing your knee in, have your foot higher than your knee, and then use your knee as a wedge. So previously I was getting my elbow in and then hip escaping out in order to create enough space to bring my knee in. So if you use your knee more as a wedge, you need less space to bring it in. Or, theoretically, you don't need any space. The wedge will make the space. So let's see. So that was a side control escape. Oh, and then you just regard one thing that when you're doing it, you want to stay on your side as long as possible. You don't want to get on your back and then hip out. You want to stay on your side, hip out, and then the only time you can go on your back is if you have double sleeve grips and you want to do a spider guard or something like that. And then we did what if they go into scarf control from side control. And also side control, you want to bring the outside arm into across the neck as a frame. So then scarf control, getting out of scarf control, also called kesugatame, I think. I like that Japanese name for it. So that's when it's sort of like side control, but then they go on their side and they're facing toward you. One thing that Bridget told me, and so the lower leg, because they're on their side, the lower leg comes through and sort of comes under their head, not underneath, but like below in direction. And then your lower leg, or higher leg, I guess, bends, plants, and the knee points up. You want your hip on the ground, and then you want to have like a gable grip or an S grip behind his neck. And the pressure here is you're using your upright, the leg that has the knee pointed up, to drive your hip into the body, and you're squeezing with the arms. So the pressure is your chest going into his chest, driven between your hip and your arms, if that makes any sense. So you're compressing, you're using your left, your upright leg to squeeze between your, or to exert pressure between your arms, hip, and chest. The hip is going in, the arms are going in, and then the chest is going down. So you don't want the hip going down, you want the hip going in. So the hip has to be on the ground, not in the air. So to escape this, you want your elbow to come down. So you're framing with one arm again, framing with one arm against his neck again, and then the other arm goes down to the mat. And then because the scarf hold pressure is all around the upper body, this can create separation with the lower body. So you'll basically be able to regard from there. You want to use, when you bring your foot in to regard, you want to use the blade of your foot to do so. Bridget said that's because it allows you to sort of take on more pressure with your leg. I found it a little confusing. It felt awkward. So I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, but she definitely said use the blade of your foot first. Also, I feel like it could get caught in the lapel or something, but something to work on. Oh yeah, also, so driving your elbow down should also relieve pressure on your chest. I'm not sure about the biomechanics of that, but that is what Bridget said. So then 2 more escapes from scarf control. One is you bring your feet up toward, away from his legs, toward the head. So you want to create more of an angle, and then you bring one foot up. I believe it's the outside foot, and then you bring it down at an angle at the same time that you're pushing up with the arm that's against the neck, and then you reverse that way. And the other way is you bring your legs down, and you walk your legs down toward his legs, and then you bridge and you kind of roll over. And this one, it's easier if you need to like keep your bodies together. So instead of having one arm as the frame against the neck, you can bring that around and sort of hold them to you, keeping your body still. So, bring your arm on the hook and sort of like hugging them to you while you bring your legs down and then bridge. So you bridge, and then I'm not actually sure what the motion was. You just bridge, and then it just sort of continues from there. It felt very natural. As soon as I bridged, then my body kind of knew what to do. So I think you actually bridge into back control. I think, if that's right. I believe you wind up in back control. So, or it might be side control. I'll have to look it up. So then Bridget also mentioned that the scarf hold, I wasn't sure what she meant. It sounds like she doesn't like using it because it's sort of like an end point. It's just like a control position where you can exert pressure and discomfort on your opponent, but you can't really get any submissions from there. That's what it sounded like. Or that when you get to there, you need to think about going to a submission. So I don't think there's any submissions directly from Kezukatame. So you can use it in order to like get some control, catch your breath or something like that, but then transition out of it. It sounds like she doesn't like people who just get to that position and just sit there. So yeah, that was my impression.